All right, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of the Exit Your Way Roundtable with Damon, Andrew, and today with us we've got Jeff Graham. How you doing, Jeffrey?
Jeff. No complaints other than COVID.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a thorn in the side for a lot of people today.
It is.
But what we're talking about today hopefully can help some people out.
Yeah, it'll be a hot topic.
Yeah,
this is what's happening. So
why don't you explain a little bit about your background, Jeff? I think that'd be kind of cool. Kind of what brought you here, to how you got to being the digital transformation guy that you are.
I think I always had kind of a fascination with the internet when I was young, and when I was early on in my career, I liked to build websites back when there was like front page, Dreamweaver, HTML, old school. And flip them online. I used to monetize them and sell them on auction sites. Sold my first website in 2005, so it's aging me now, 15 years ago. And then that kind of evolved in some software. I worked in a lot of businesses that did integrated services and things. So it kind of evolved into a software piece. Ended up creating and selling a software company in 2011. And then my sales career had just continued to grow, and obviously selling online, and then transitioning and knowing that selling, or selling in person, I should say, and through multi-channels directly, that moved into the internet world. Internet sales, e-commerce became, actually invented, and all these types of transactions. Fun fact, do you know what the first thing ever purchased online was?
No.
It was a David Bowie record.
Really?
It's the first thing. Isn't that crazy?
David Bowie record.
Kind of random, huh?
Yeah.
Like 1997, I think, or something like that. So
holy buckets.
It's kind of a fun fact, but yeah, it was a record, a CD or something at that time. But then it kind of evolved into just strongly e-commerce. Everything started shifting online. Amazon wasn't a big business back then, and we were on different platforms, which we'll talk about a little bit, I'm sure. And
yeah,
it evolved into starting my own consulting firm, and then working with you guys obviously a lot, and growing companies and preparing them to exit, having a lot of success with that, through multiple e-commerce channels, digital transformations. We've made companies values kind of unbelievably fast and successfully. So
yeah,
that's kind of what brought me into where it is now. And so I work with you guys, and work with a lot of companies on, look, we need it. Your model's got to change, and the companies that started ahead of others are not hurting right now, comparatively. So, the folks on the right track here.
One of our e-commerce clients this year is up 100%, so I don't think it's hurting too bad.
No, absolutely, yeah. The ones that started implementing these things a few years ago, they're doing great.
Yeah,
and
it's a slow start, right? I think that it's like the evolution. We just hype. I don't know we just sped it up. We Usain Bolted to educate, the transformation here. This is a 10-year run. We have 10 years in e-commerce growth in 1 year. 10 years of previous e-commerce growth in 1 year. That just shows you how fast.
Is that the impact of COVID, you think, Jeff?
Absolutely. I think that was just a catalyst, right? That was just it just added in that extra spice of like, all right, well, we have to now, because our customers aren't walking in the door anymore. We don't have traffic anymore. What are we going to do? So we have to change our strategies. We have to change, the way in which we do things. And then that is where we're at today, which is a pretty Wild West, kind of reminds me of the wildwest.com area a little bit. In the aftermath of 2008, there was a lot of internet game going then.
Yeah.
So here we are again.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a lot too from the business owners. We were kind of ahead of that, and we were in e-commerce pretty deep, but now they're all help us get going on that one. And one of the reasons we wanted to get you on here, you're a very talented e-commerce guy, and you've been doing this for years. And I know there's a ton of people out there who selling direct to customer. How do I do that? How do I get there? They know them for a while. I think it's not like they didn't know it wasn't there, but now, yeah, it's kind of forced the hand that you got to jump and get in. You got to get in on this.
Yeah, folks are going to scramble. They're scrambling.
Yeah.
They're like, oh well, I knew I should have been doing this. Oh dang it, I have to. So they're scrambling, and when you scramble, a lot of things happen. You make lots of mistakes.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, you're not successful. So
scrambling.
We'll hopefully buffer out how not to get scrambled, and hopefully make the good decisions that you need to get your business from here to here, at least through digital.
Yeah.
Media.
Well, I think scrambling is just part of the MO. It's been that way for e-commerce, and it's kind of routine for you and your work.
There's a lot of, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of people that are going to take advantage of the weak in the situation. So you're weak, you're looking for a website, and there's a lot of folks that are going to scam hard and not do and tell you things that they can do that they can't. They don't decide those things, and make impossible dreams sound like you're going to achieve those things. So, I think some of that
that's
be a part of this as well.
That's a good thing for us to start with. So somebody sitting here today, I don't know, I'm starting probably at the back end first, but that's something that really, we talk about with a lot of people over time is that, when people are desperate, they're going to reach out to, virtually who's ever in front of them that says they can help. Right. So what if I'm sitting here today going, crap, I got to do something. What should they really be looking for? The top few things, like someone's going to help them with website or marketing or those kind of things. What are just some of the things they should be leery of?
So I think an owner and, someone that's going to go through this, they need to step back from the knee-jerk reaction to jump into things. They need to step back, and I think they need to look at their business is, how would I start my business today? So pretend your business didn't exist, how it was ran before, and rethink about how I'm going to start my business today. Okay, there's a lot of common misconceptions around, hey, if I just build a website and hire this SEO company, we're gonna do fine, and I'm gonna spend that's all baloney, and I can guarantee it doesn't work like that. And we'll talk more about, I'm sure, some of the details in that. But back all the way out and understand, like, look, you have to reinvent your business here. This isn't going to be the same company, and you're going to have to think about how you would start the business over today in this atmosphere, and what's powerful and what's effective in this market versus, hey, I've been running a retail store, I've been running this kind of business with a little bit of e-com. Well, now that's not a viable model anymore. So now your model has to shift to, my business is 90% e-commerce, 10% this, but I don't have any experience. Mm-hmm. I've never built websites. I've never done digital marketing. I've never done ads. I don't know Facebook. I don't know any of the platforms, the mediums, any of this stuff. And that's all the stuff that people get lost in and end up falling for tricks and scams and bad things happen from there. So those are like that's the first big thing. Stop, think, and then look at like trusted sources and things that folks that have done it. And no one in the digital world that's legit will say it happens quickly. It can happen.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that
doesn't happen quick. You're not going to just flip a light switch on and have thousands of orders in your queue. It does not work like that. But the reality is if you're methodical and you build your processes right, like we'll talk about, you will be successful online. It's just a matter of, it takes a little bit of time, have a little patience. It's not like the Facebook ads you see. They're like, I took my store from nothing to here in 2 days. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Nice sketchy ad, nice clickbait, but it
gets me thinking about, I remember that on the paperclip, when we were, working with a client who was throwing a ton of resources at pay-per-click. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, more isn't always better, those kind of things and the mistakes they were making. And, talk a little bit about how that was just one example I remember specifically. That was mind-boggling how much waste there was there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of waste. And I think a lot of people need to decide where they need to focus their technology effort. So where do you focus first? All right. So is it website? Is it social media? Is it direct to consumer? Is it, all these kind of pieces of the puzzle have to be addressed before you start advertising, right? You can't, if your product, let's say, as an example, you sell like a tangible item, like a cell phone or like a face mask.
Yeah.
Facebook ads might work well for something like that, right? Google ads, but this isn't going to be working well on LinkedIn ads. That's just not where your meat and potatoes is going to be. And a lot of companies just knee-jerk into ad platforms that they just don't know anything about. They don't have any of the detail on how to run an ad, demographics, any of the terminology, clicks, impressions, click-through rates, conversions, ROAS, our return on ad spend. I always say just don't go buck wild jumping into digital advertising from a PPC standpoint. And we can dive into how to be successful on PPC a bit, but core to anything, make it about the user.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny how all of this comes back together to the same thing. And that's really knowing your customers, knowing your customer demographics well. What was it, a couple of weeks ago, we did the customer persona thing in the roundtable on Thursday. And it's no different if I'm running a law firm, an e-commerce thing that's selling outdoor products, or a medical device company or a aerospace company. You got to know who your buyer is in any of these platforms, whether you're going digital, in person or not. And it's interesting how that basic fundamental carries even more weight when you're working and trying to do things digitally.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Amazon, being the juggernaut here, and I'm not going to toot Amazon's horn, but yeah, they've done it right. So, but their whole core thing, if you go back to Bezos from the beginning, was everything's going to circle around the customer. We don't care anything about anything else. Customer's always right. Customer's always happy, and that was their ideology from the beginning, and it has been forever. And albeit that's hard for vendors selling on Amazon, which I'm sure some people watching are going to be like, I sell on Amazon, I hate it. There's frustration there from a vendor standpoint or from a seller standpoint, but from a customer standpoint, it is as easy as pie, right? Prime, ship, done, 3 clicks, I'm out. They really, really evolved that process and now made it I would say a standard. So you can't have a digital business with 40 clicks. Like, you can't have a digital business. You need to make it streamlined, and you need to have really understand your customer's journey is different than when they walked in your retail store. My journey, I don't know you from Adam. I see your website. I'm here. How am I captivating you? How am I interesting you into a purchase? I have to gather a relationship out of thin air through images and text. Sometimes if we're lucky.
That's, when we had worked before on e-commerce things, that's one of the things I can remember us spending a lot of time on, is really going, how do you give someone the same almost physical experience with text and images on a web page to buy something, because that's really all you've got.
That's a challenge. It's hard work. Well, I think that
it's hard.
What I saw from that experience too was that, and back to the PPE thing, is that the guys who were helping them with that's what they do. They were doing, they were doing pay per click, and they wanted to spend money on it, but they didn't understand the customer. So these specialists that all walk around, if you don't really understand I just saw what you did and came in, but that it's more of a well-rounded business, understanding of how the business works and the customer, and your tools aren't, it's not easy. You don't have everything to work with. You can't talk to them. You've got to be very creative, but you can't do that with those tools unless you really, really know who you're selling to and what they really need.
Yeah, but you have to explain the process, and you have to walk them through it, and walk them through it in a digital manner. And we can get in the weeds on everything like that, which we won't, I'm sure. But let's think about it this way. I walk into a store, I buy something, they take it off the shelf, it's in inventory, and then they have a couple items in the back in stock. Okay. Then when I buy that off the shelf, I leave the store, they replenish the inventory on the shelf, and then they place a small order to rehabilitate their inventory in the back in their warehouse space, right? What happens online is the opposite of that. So online, you get 27 orders of that item that's on the shelf, and then you have to go into the back and you don't have any of those. And you know, the problem is you don't know what's going to sell and how fast. And a lot of times then you're going to have supply chain problems, deliverability problems, reputation's going to go on the toilet. You're going to have all these streamlined issues that are going to literally choke you out your first few months in a transformation. You have to make sure your business can support the digital direction you're going to go foundationally. You can't build a high rise off popsicle sticks. And that's what a lot of these folks are doing. They're putting up a website, throwing up a store, getting lucky with their customer base, getting a bunch of orders, and they're not fulfilling quickly. And people are vicious online. So they're bashing them. You suck. You can't, you know, this and that. And that reputation to improve online is not an easy process, and it takes a long time. And there's a lot of work that goes into fixing a damaged reputation, right? It takes 20 years to build a good one, 5 minutes to ruin the entire thing. So
online, you think about this, and this, we've talked about this a bunch, and people that are thinking about digital transformation really need to contemplate this. If I have a retail store, or I have a business that I'm doing person-to-person business, there's only so many people that would talk to or see what an unhappy customer has to say. But when that comes online, everybody forever sees that. Everybody forever sees that. So it doesn't matter if that customer is unreasonable. It doesn't matter if that customer was, you know, some whack job dude that was, you know, just whatever. That's there forever. So the importance of customer satisfaction is amplified a ton when you're doing online anything, really.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times people don't realize this is the number one emotion for why someone buys from a merchant online. And it's trust. It's like, you have to build trust. And that would be true in sales in general, right? Like you got to trust that I have your best interest in mind in order for you to do business with me. But online, trust is way, way up here. And if you don't have this, you're not getting sales on your website. You're not getting sales through channel. Your brand doesn't have trust. It's not happening. People look at trust. That's why Amazon leverages reviews. That's why they average their store averages, not just product averages, and deliverability. And trust is all around the KPI, right? It's around successful delivery, complaints, chargebacks. You know, it's all weighted ranks and KPIs around trust. But it still comes back to the same old-fashioned thing. You have to build trust within your business now digitally, right? Because you may have been a very successful business, brick and mortar, or manufacturer, distributor in physical, but now in digital, it's a different party. You know, it's a different ballgame. You have to completely abandon that methodology, and now you're going into a digital methodology, and it's a lot different. And it's just not going to be. It's not going to be successful. Trust is single-handedly the most important thing when people are checking out. That's why people buy on Amazon, because they know they're going to not get, you know, quote unquote screwed over.
Well,
it, they're sending it back, and there's no questions asked. It's not like, tell us what's really wrong. So,
and it seems more fragile in e-commerce.
Yeah, there's no risk for a consumer if you have a trustworthy brand. So then when there's no risk for me to buy from them, that makes me more likely to buy from them, because I can buy from lots of folks without risk. Yeah. So if you're building your own brand or transitioning, you can't have risk be even in even the back corner of a user's mind. By user, that's what we call people on websites. So
that's for sure. Well, I just want to do a quick shout out. We got some people on that have been commenting stuff. We got Nick Dorsey's on. We got Kelly Robinson's on, and Paula Goodman.
Paula, how you doing?
Paula's great. You know, and the thing about Paula is, if you've ever read her writing, it's like crazy good all the time, man. Crazy good. She is such a poet. I think she's ninja poetress is what she said. I can't even read the stuff she writes it so well. But
Right.
you have to, but it's great. It's great.
I need some of that. So
yeah. Yeah, I especially so, and I'm not there, but yeah, but it's you just wanted to say hello to them real quick. Thanks for getting on. Again, we're talking with Jeffrey Graham here, Andrew Cross, Damon Pistolka, talking with Jeffrey Graham about digital transformation. We've been running through this, and we've spent a couple hours in the seat of the old e-commerce and digital world. So, there it is. It is here. I'm gonna put this up. She is Word Jedi Poetress. Got it.
Is that they need to enter that in the dictionary and make it an actual? I don't know if that's a word. Is that a word, Poetress?
I don't know, but hey, if she likes it, I'm taking it because
I like it.
She said she's blushing. That's cool. Hey, and then we got someone Jeff, from your old stomping grounds. We got Mitch.
Oh, Mitch.
Mitch is on, dude. That's good.
Mitch.
That's good. Dude.
He's a good guy. He knows WordPress like the back of his hand.
Yep. Good stuff. Well, it's nice to see we got some people tuning in. All one of our listeners usually are negative. No, it's not really. I'm just kidding. But we get some good conversations going. But we put a few hours in the old e-commerce and just general digital space, helping people do this. And what are some of the the keys to really, if you're going to start today and you're going, man, I need to start over. Where do you start?
Okay. Yeah, it's really tough, right? Because a lot of people are going to have a different opinion on, start here, start there, whatever. I think that you have to start with identifying the need, so what is the need for the business right now? Okay, we need to sell X item online. So you start with that need, then you're going to have to deal with workflow. So once you have a need identified, you have to know how you're going to process that need. How are you going to get that need from A to Z? That means when the purchase happens, how are you going to package? How are you going to label? How are you going to weigh? How are you going to ship? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to do tracking? How are you going to do follow-up? All of those things, all of that digital workflow is stuff that people just don't think about when they go and build an online store or try to sell on the internet. You got to optimize your workflow so it's at least straining on the business, right? It's hard enough to run a business as itself, but when you go and add a digital component to this thing, it can really, Mike Tyson punch your business as a whole. Yeah, and it'll take time and resources from other departments, and they're not getting their regular job done. So really understanding workflow. I think identifying the needs of the customer. What's the expectation? 3-day ship time, 2-day ship time, 1-day ship time, or is it lead time? And then once you know those two things, then you can plug technology in to fill those gaps, right? Yeah. So like you have, I know this is my workflow. Now I need to know that I have a cart, a website. The website works well with cart. And when we talk digitally, a cart is different than a website. A cart is what manages your orders. A website is what visually presents those things. So once you have your cart identified, then you're going to have your order processing identified, communication identified. Those systems is where you're going to plug the specific technology piece into each of those things that you need. There's no one full solution.
Yeah. And then you add
it doesn't exist. There's no now, even if you had a Shopify site, you still have to add this app, that app, that app, that app, that app. If you're on WordPress, you got to add this plugin, that plugin, this plugin, that plugin. And as a new person in a digital transformation world, very scary. I don't think people realize how scary it is because you just don't know if you're making the right decision. You don't know if it's the right thing. And people like us have been fortunate enough to screw up so much that we got really good at not screwing up.
Yeah.
And we made enough mistakes to go, you know what, that's not going to work because I've done that and it didn't work. And so it allows us to not make those mistakes. But a normal off the street, first time, second, even third time user or person going through this process is going to have to really identify that whole process and then plug technology in as accordingly.
Yeah.
Don't just like think that there's some full solution. It is a puzzle and there's lots of pieces. And if you mess one up, hate to say it, weak chain or weak link breaks the chain, right? So
yeah. Well,
that's
and
important. And I think a lot of people overstep. They don't think about it like that because
yeah.
it's
And
just
one that I got slapped with this last year with some work is that, you know, fraud protection is really important. Really important. Don't just think because you're requiring all the fields on your credit card to be right and match what they say for you to be protected against e-commerce fraud, because the good scammers will have all the information to pass it off, and you're still screwed and get to pay as a seller.
Further to that,
it's really true that you said, because I actually have it on here. Avoid the traps is one of my notes that I had written before we got on our call here. Is a lot of folks will just, chargebacks.
Yeah, chargebacks.
Channel. When you're selling any Amazon, you're selling multi-channel. Fraud is rampant.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're always going to side with the consumer. So understand that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. You are. Guaranteed. Yeah. So if you can avoid those mistakes before you lose, by having good, QA, quality assurance checks and balances, good software to alert for suspicious quote unquote activity, things that, and it could be for $12. It could be for $2,400, and you could think you nailed a really good order from someone in Wisconsin or Michigan or Utah. It doesn't matter. It can happen anywhere, and you just got to be real careful. I think that there's a lot of good tools out there that will solve those problems for folks. But it's a real issue, more every day than before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you brought up one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that just because you're selling on a third-party platform like Amazon doesn't mean you're not responsible for fraud.
Oh no, you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still on the hook. They absolve themselves from any of that. They have big lawyers, right? Real deep text. So those contracts you read are pretty buttoned up, pretty watertight. And it's on everything. You just got to be careful. You really can think you're doing well online, and you find out that you owe $25,000 at the end of the month in chargebacks, or 100 or 200. So that's big.
When we start back and we're looking at, you mentioned a while ago, when we talk about platforms, first of all, we'll get back to that, but that's a word that I want to make sure we explain a little bit. People think they can, okay, I've got a product, I'm going to flip a website up, I'm going to start to sell it. And you've talked about the process. So if someone places an order and goes through it, but let's talk a bit about the website itself. I mean, used to be that you could put a picture up of an item and people would see it and maybe they would buy it like that. But the expectations of how stuff is presented online and the information they can get is you really have to have a lot more than you ever did before. So what are some of the things that you see when you're looking out across the websites and other places that people are trying to sell things that they're just not doing right?
Have one image.
Yep.
That's a golden bad rule. At the end of the day, trust, it comes back to trust. So from a listing level, website level, it's trust. And what we have now more than I think we had before is you need a lot more cross-platform pollination, meaning that you need to have your products on multiple platforms so you don't seem sketchy, so you don't seem like a one-hit wonder or some type of, just so you don't seem sketchy, So a lot of times if you have your product selling on Amazon, that's good. If you have your product selling on Etsy, on eBay, on Walmart, or other channels other than your own proprietary website, that shows good faith. Even Google Shopping and some of these things
Mhm.
will show that you are a legitimate seller online, not just, you know, if people are researching a product, a lot of times they'll look at your product and then they'll go on Amazon and they'll search for it. Or
Yeah.
they'll
Mhm.
go on Amazon and then they'll go back here, or they'll Google search the product. You know, consumers are being more savvy than they were. And that's generationally. That's because the Gen X and millennials are becoming majority of the buyers. And,
Yeah.
and we were raised around technology. So we were raised around how to source and look for things like this quickly and how to be savvy buyers. So it's a little more complicated to make sure that you position it in a way in which someone that's internet savvy is going to trust that you're legit, and that, you know, so cross-pollination across platforms is very helpful. And then never, you know, golden rule too, if you have your own website and you're selling products on your website, don't just copy your listing and put it on channel. And don't just copy a listing and put it on Amazon.
Mhm.
Because your search terminology, your product listing types, the style, what people are looking for isn't going to be there. And a lot of times people don't think about what a website is and what a product listing is. Everything has to come down to search and how you are finding a said item. So the way you write your titles, the way you write your descriptions, the way you put your text is going to be different on every platform, because i.e. you have different types of demographics on each platform. But in addition to that, you have a different search method.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm on Google and I'm searching iron chair. I'm going to get listings of a bunch of websites of iron that sell iron chairs.
Yep.
Then I'm going to click on the website and I'm going to get products. Then I'm going to have to sift through the products. Oh, I don't like it. I bounce rate, leave, go back, iron chair. If I'm on Amazon and I search iron chair, all I'm getting is iron chairs. I'm not getting websites of people who sell iron chairs. I'm getting listings of iron chairs. So now I'm looking at the styles, the way they look, the things that are interesting to me. You've removed an entire layer if someone's searching on Amazon versus searching on Google. Same thing would be indicative on any other platform. A lot of times people will write their text for their website, which is good for a Google search or a product search in a search engine. But from an Amazon perspective, where they're already on the platform or on the marketplace, it's a completely different thing. Benefits and features are much more important. Things that are going to highlight the chair are much more important, that you might bury that down a little deeper in your listing for your own website. You know, so things like that, subtleties are huge. I mean, it can turn like one sale a day to 50 just by making subtleties, because your search becomes easier, which brings us back to like SEO, SEM, search engine marketing, and why writing that content's so important, and why there's a lot of, also, like we talked about early in the conversation, a lot of schemers and scammers and liars out there in that space as well. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you know, but this is great. You got a system and a process in place too, but this needs constant maintenance. I mean, because of these things shifting and changing all the time. I think maybe you go a little bit into that too. I think, Jeff, because I mean, what I saw before was you were always on it, always, you know, looking not just maintenance, but also looking for the opportunities, what's working, what's not working, and then riding that hard, you know.
Yeah, that's huge. Evolution. It's not the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. Big evolution is Microsoft just eliminated Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Okay. They went to Microsoft Edge and they revamped Edge. Why is this effective and important? To me, when I looked at the new Edge that they launched a couple days ago, I like it. That means that they're gonna steal Chrome users, or they're gonna steal Firefox users. And by what I mean by that from a Microsoft standpoint is they don't automatically load Chrome or Firefox on Windows systems. So that means that every new computer sold, if Microsoft Edge is appealing enough and it isn't as poorly performing as Internet Explorer has been, guess what? That means that your amount of search traffic is going to go up on Bing, on Microsoft stuff. people aren't paying attention to that, even though of 20 whatever % goes through Bing already. And that's just because it's on the stock system. You know, people aren't putting Chrome, they're not putting Firefox.
Well,
so knowing that, right? Like, because we're talking about the fact that you got to stay up on this stuff is going to make a different decision now for how much effort I'm going to put into Microsoft Bing and how much effort I'm going to put into Microsoft Edge.
Yeah.
Or my Bing local listing. Like,
yeah.
That changes things. We don't know how much yet, right? It's still new. It could be junk. It could fall apart. But those are the things where you have to be thinking things, you know, in a digital world, it's data-driven decision making. You're not making decisions off emotions in digital.
Yeah.
Because it's not a good day.
Yeah.
You have to make decisions off data. So understanding data, understanding what your ROI is, your productivity, the resources, the employees, you know, these are all going to be things, but you have to be on it all the time because guess what? Platforms that were popular 3 years ago aren't popular today.
So I think that many people
like freaking
people hear what you're saying, you know, and you know, as a business owner myself, you know, they're going to be, I can't do all that. I can't do that. So, you know, they're out there going to be looking for experts. I know they get burned a lot, but so then how do you find the people who could do what you're talking about? What's the look for?
Okay. I'll tell you what not to look for. I think it's probably easier.
Yeah.
If someone tells you they'll get you on the first page of Google, run the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even digital experts like Neil Patel, not even like the guys who really know this stuff and who are really good at this and have been in the game a long time, who I've been around a long time. They would never say that. They would say we would develop a strategy to try to get you there. But guess who makes the decision on who gets on the first page of Google? Google. So unless you know there are ways to have an opportunity on Google, but Google will tell you straight up, you're not getting first page. Here's how we weight it. We use a weighted ranking system. Here's how we rank. We like trust, bounce rate, things that like, because Google's really wanting to put the best site in front of people that is going to solve their search needs.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. And your site might solve those needs yesterday, but not tomorrow. And so that's why changing tactics. Video is important these days, as you guys are well aware. That's big because video, Google feels, builds trust. You can hear me, you, and Damon, me, Andrew, and Dan. We're talking right now. You can get a vibe for us. You can see our body language. So that's a little more trustworthy than just a picture and some text, right?
Yep.
And so those things are weighted heavily. They really do weigh the length of site's been up. You know, so if a site's been up 10 years, it's going to carry a better weighted rank. You know, so to tell you that it's going to happen quickly is also inaccurate. Now, the other big component of this is understand, are you looking at a regional effort or a national or an international effort? And those three things are going to be really important too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people will write content for their product or for their business on a national, but they're a regional player. So you need to bring your content into a regional atmosphere to be successful on Google and Bing regionally, because that's really what's going to matter to your business. Who cares if you rank for
that's a huge
business valuation? If you rank nationally, cool. But if you can't do deals in 13 of the states, that's not helpful, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing that people.
Yeah, local is huge, and I think people just need to focus more on who they're going for, and is it in their backyard or is it across the country or across the water?
Again, it's back to knowing your customer and speaking to and knowing where they are. You got to know where they are to find them. So that's the big part of it. But talk a little bit more about video. Is that a new thing? Is this really just something that's evolving now, or it seems to me I've been hearing more and more about an emphasis on video. Do you consider that part of e-commerce and part of that toolbox?
I do, yeah, because a lot of people are doing videos of product videos, and those can be put in and embedded in your listings now, both on marketplaces and other places. So you can actually put like a product up and have your 7 or 10 images, however many you want. And then you can have your highlights, and then you can have a video of the product, which shows it in use and touching it, and, you know, tangibility to it, right? Those things are going to be big.
Sorry.
No, those are going to be, so video, yes, absolutely. And who's the biggest proponent of video? I mean, it's got to be Gary Vee. Like, that guy is a machine.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what he's wearing, what he's doing. He's just putting out authentic content, and his mind's authentic. And I agree. Like, the video, it changes the interaction between both product and person. So video is very strong, but a lot of people think and have a misconception they need some fancy setup. Like, look, you guys, there's 40 million followers on Instagram, and they do videos with this thing called a phone. You don't need all that fancy stuff. You don't need video production. You don't need fades in and fades out. This isn't 97 when we're doing the boardroom presentation.
Well, there's Gary Vee and Exit Your Ways coming in hot behind him.
There's just a lot of these things, right, that I think that people, they worry too much about. And like we're doing, like, we don't have a plan. We know what we're talking about. We just jam. Like, hey, hopefully you like it. Hopefully you find something valuable. If not, that's okay. There's, hopefully it's somewhere else. But we're just going to give you the best that we can think of at the time.
Think of any product or any real service, though. I mean, you talk about video and you go, okay, let's talk about a bicycle. Go out and show somebody a cool mountain bike by taking it, going out there with your phone and get the old of watching them ride it and go around the bike or whatever the heck you're doing. It doesn't really matter what type of product or service you're doing or working with somebody, that really you can show it so much better with a 45-second video.
Well, let's go back. Videos have been everything. Commercials are the reason that video exists. We're just making micro commercials that are affordable because we can't afford $1 million commercial half the time at the Super Bowl. So you're just trying to, bring some reality, and I think that that's going to bring us back to our kind of beat it with like a dead horse. Trust. It's going to bring it back to trust. And as you digitally transform in business, if you've been in business for 40 years physically and you never had an internet store, then guess what? You have no trust on the internet. And so you have to be able to portray that tenure online. And that can be done, but it doesn't automatically vote you credibility on the internet or through e-commerce or digital or whatever.
You're just winning a different place. It's like opening a new location in a new region. E-commerce is no different. And I was telling somebody this the other day. It's just like, if you're going to put e-commerce into your business, you don't have it now. It's like adding a whole new division of salespeople or whatever you want. It's just different challenges, different things you got to look for, and different metrics you need to track. Because when you get into e-commerce and you look at the business behind it, honestly, it's like another set of salespeople that you're managing. It's just different challenges and different ways that you need to manage. And
you got website management, you have product management, supply chain, technology, advertising, content, video. I mean, it's more than is fingers and toes on the things that have to happen to be successful online and selling products online. And, the one thing that reigns true is just after selling hundreds of millions of dollars of product on the internet is it's not easy. And don't fool yourself that a digital transformation is going to be quick. It's going to be painless. You're going to have one solution that's just like, wow. As much success as we've had transforming companies, it's a slog and it's a lot of hard work. And I don't want anyone to come through, these conversations is like, oh, well, that doesn't sound so hard. No, it's going to be very hard. And it is
extremely lucrative.
Absolutely. You can't,
done right.
You can't beat a e-commerce multiple, right? It's next close to SaaS businesses and super, super low overhead, high margin companies. It's a huge opportunity. And I think another thing that people need to be aware of, and what we know, is that you're going to hit ceilings. Your first 100 grand, once you hit that 100K in sales a month, let's just say, or not even a month, but just in a year, to go to $1 million or go to $500,000, it's going to look a little different. To go to $1 million, it's going to look a little different. To go to 5 million, everything's going to look a little different. To go to 10, you're reinventing your company over and over and over again. You don't realize that either.
That was something that was really interesting as far as on the M&A side, or of the business, e-commerce companies. And what we learned was there are, we had a mid-range company doing about 30-40 million in sales, and it was a rare thing. Everybody was either enormous billion-dollar companies in e-commerce, all the players, or they were less than $1 million in sales, mostly mom and pop shops. So there was nothing really in between. Yeah. So that's a fascinating look at how that industry is laying out right now too. So, but I think it
hasn't changed. It's still a trough. The second the gopher pokes his hole up, big companies gobble them up. The Amazons come down and just buy them.
Yeah.
You have, the companies here, and then you just got this big empty desert like the Sahara. And then you have your big multi-billion-dollar players like Amazon and Walmart and such. And the reason that trough exists is because once you hit a certain point, you're fighting on price. Internet, everything's out there. So you can't be like, price is public. So you can't work it like that. Everything. And then speed. So as you grow volume, as speed. So now you have to invest in massive amounts in infrastructure, massive amounts in warehouse distribution, hence Amazon's lack of profitability for 15 years, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that people don't understand when they're running a traditional business, like a retail business, right? So I've got stock on the shelf and I sell like that. That's a pretty simple deal. If I'm an OEM manufacturer and I want to start, and I'm selling through distributors or large orders at a time, and I'm going to do e-commerce, it's a different ballgame because you can't ship 2 weeks from today. You have to ship like 48 hours. That's the expectations, and knowing those expectations requires a lot of work if you're an OEM producer to go, okay, how are we going to meet those customer expectations? Because Amazon has set these expectations with their Prime and all that kind of stuff to set the standard is, yeah, you might be able to get a product to somebody in 3, 4, maybe 5 days if you're lucky.
Right.
But if they can find that same product that I can get it tomorrow, it's going to be a hard sell.
Mm-hmm.
And
people want, retail was indicatively successful because it's instant gratification. You get to go in the store, you get to buy it, you get a bag, walk to your car. I got this, new shoes, I'm gonna wear them tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Internet, the reason Amazon, I think, has become is in why same day shipping and 2-day delivery is become standardized is because humans still crave instant gratification. And when you buy something online, you don't get to touch it right away. And so you get excited about it coming, but if it's going to be too long, it's not going to be as interesting, it's not going to be what someone wants to wait for. Oh, I got to order this and wait.
Well, yeah, if you go to
I'd rather go down the store, I'll pay a little bit more money, but I get it right now.
Yeah.
That's why retail in its entirety isn't just gone completely.
Yeah, if you go to the cart, it's in 6 weeks. It's done. The was gone.
And they sell, now you can ship all kinds of things, and so it's that too is evolving.
Yeah.
You're right. Instant gratification and same day. I mean, if you can get out product same day, you're going to be and put that in front. It's huge. But then you have to think about the strain on the business to get it out same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means workflows and packaging and shipping.
Oh,
and
yeah.
mistakes. Stop messing. You're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
So you got to make really good. Make sure that your infrastructure is right. Mm-hmm. Again, I know it's hard. It's expensive, but there are ways to do this without blowing out your budget and doing it methodically and in a phased approach. Be successful. But a lot of folks you're right. Resources hard to find. It's not like e-commerce. It's not like there's an e-commerce school pumping out good full A to Z com people, right? I mean, resources are hard to come by, and a lot of them have just focused into digital marketing, and that's just one little component to this big picture. As you guys know, so
yeah, good stuff, man. You know, we're getting down the road here a ways, and if we had, what other, you know, parting thoughts do you think we should leave with people that are really considering, you know, where should I go with my digital transformation or my e-commerce strategy? I mean, some of these people are just going, what do I do?
Yeah. So I won't shameless plug. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean,
please.
What I think, honestly, like, it doesn't matter where you're at in the process. Like, I know Damon, I know Andrew, and myself. If you're a teeny company and you're just trying to figure out what platform to sell on, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce, reach out. Like, we're not too big to not respond and say, hey, here's who you should talk to. Here's someone's trustworthy. We can at least be a middleman to get you the right resources, because we don't work with people that aren't proven and aren't legit and haven't actually done this stuff, right? So I would say that people should look to people like us, and not necessarily that they would hire us for this work, because it depends on the situation, and we can't do that, right? We can't just take the person that comes to us. But the reality is we will facilitate, or I'll do everything I can to facilitate someone to be successful. I don't want you guys online not to be successful. I don't want anyone out there to struggle. I hate to see it. It bugs me. It hurts my heart. But the reality of it is there's a lot of scammy, sketchy. I'll get you front page, your first page Google. I'll write your SEO. I'll do all these, all this stuff for you, and you're going to spend a lot of money, and you're going to be very disappointed. So, and all the people, honestly, that really do the work, you don't know about. That's the thing. People watching this to us, they don't know these people. Yeah, like a lot of people don't know me from Adam. I've done a lot of work and grown a lot of companies, but I'm not a self-promoter. I don't go out like you got, we're not like.
So just to let people be aware too. I mean, we met Jeff because, when we're getting into an exit with the company, we try to accelerate sales, because that's core to what we're trying to do to help the client, build a company to sell, and e-commerce, and Jeff's, expertise in that has proven results, and that's exactly if you're looking for there, that's a great place to start, and you're not too small.
Yeah, too. Like, it's not just one. We know that, like, it's taking teams, and it's taking creativity. Doing things internally. If the company can do them. Don't. If you can pull it off, if you can learn it. It's better to teach a man to fish than feed a man to fish, right? I think it's a bit of a hybrid, right? We got to teach you how to do it, but we need to teach you how to do it, because otherwise you're just going to be struggling from here to forever. So
yeah, it is really important, I think, and that's you're not going to. This is not the kind of thing that you can just let somebody else do. I mean, you have to know enough to be dangerous. You have to know, you have to have the metrics in place to understand, where you're going, because, with e-commerce, what you just really do. I'll just throw there. It's been,
I'm a buzzkill, because going up on 5 o'clock here.
I'm like, man, this is
a little wild. You know what I'm saying?
we could go on for hours about this. It's like you said at the beginning of this, Jeff. You gotta screw up a lot.
Yeah.
And did you hear that? I didn't curse. I think this is the first time I've done
it.
Did he make it? Damn.
Yeah, we did it. We didn't curse.
I've much. I don't think maybe a couple, but
no, I don't think so. I think you've been really good. But we screwed up enough that it is something that you will inevitably mess up. You will. Just have to minimize the damage, because it is hard. It is hard. You are everything from what you're talking about with the way an ad looks to the wrong text in an ad, the wrong thing. And you just gotta have someone, I believe, in your company that can learn it enough to be able to make sure that the specialists, if you bring them in or hire them or contract them, whatever it is, that they know that something's going on, that things are moving in the right direction or not. And that's the main thing. You got to know.
It's like a lawyer, you have to be a lawyer to own a law firm.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't mean that in that sense, but like a lawyer knows what kind of work would need to be done for all their associate attorneys and the standard, because they're educated on that part. I don't think you need to get to that level, but you need to have a really good wherewithal and understanding of the whole process. And then you can dictate and control so you avoid those mistakes. And that takes some time, but hey, all these people started a business. My hat's off to you if I don't have one on, but you guys are awesome. You know what I mean? You went big. Now you're just changing the way your business looks.
Yeah.
And you just want to do it intelligently, just like when you started your business.
Yep.
But you did it by doing it. You did it by working hard. You did it by executing. You didn't do it by thinking about it too much, right?
They're the heroes.
Right?
Sure.
So we know, I mean, entrepreneurs and business owners are awesome.
Yeah.
And they got guts. And we just want to point them in the right direction, right? So
that's for sure. Good.
Absolutely.
Well, Jeff, it's been great talking to you today about digital transformation. We'll make sure to put Jeff's contact information in the comments, and you're on LinkedIn, Jeffrey Graham. Check him out there at Denver Consulting Firm, University of eCommerce, University of Ecom, excuse me, and there. But thanks for stopping by and talking a little bit about digital.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we could talk about all kinds of crazy things, Oh yeah, there are ways to go, but I love it. So I appreciate it. And
we'll come back again another time and do that. So Andrew, take us away, dude. What else we got?
Hey, that's it. And wrapped it up nicely, Damon. So no swearing. Listen, we'll see you next time.
You bet. Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right, boys.
All right.